Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Minnesota. I'd like to just start by commenting on the charges that were brought today by Attorney General Ellison in their office. We're certainly grateful for that, as I said the other day, in making the move to have the Attorney General Ellison as the lead on this case, that you have the right person, and this is a step today that the public wants to see. Our justice system needs to make sure that justice is served. I would point out that the Floyd family is in town. Tomorrow will be a day of mourning and celebration of George Floyd's life. But I think it's critically important for them to see, and for Minnesotans to display to them that there's another side to us and to this state that they did not see last Monday night. And so I want to again thank folks for continuing to raise your voice, for continuing to seek justice, and also for making sure we balance that public safety element of this. But I also want to note, I said earlier this morning, and I truly believe this, I think this is probably our last shot as a state and as a nation to fix this systemic issue. This rage that you saw, and the violence excluded from it, those who chose to go down that path, the message is now here in Minnesota for the last 5 days, come back to the issue at hand, which is the systemic issues and the systemic racism and the lack of accountability up and down our society that led to a daytime murder of a black man on a street in Minneapolis. And it sure isn't isolated to here, because as this exploded across the United States and the world, it's very clear that there's a lot more to this. And communities have been telling us that. And I just want to say, as the justice system does its thing, yesterday, our side of the separation of powers and the balance of powers, we used executive powers to start a civil rights and human rights investigation into the Minneapolis Police Department. And the thing that I think all of us are seeing, when our system of democracy works right, the will of the people is reflected. Not a rush to judgment, not a majority stomps on everything else, but the sense of when change is there, people rise up. And I think it's important. I saw former President Obama mention about when you're looking out in those streets and what is labeled either protesters or demonstrators, I think he's right about this. That's the improper designation. That is called the future that was out there in our young people. That is where we are going. And I stood today with a young man, and I think about how's he going to view the future and how are he going to see what we need to do. So generations have heard folks come up and say, and when we've made progress, I certainly don't want to deny that. We've made progress from the Voting Rights Act and things, but progress didn't keep George Floyd alive, and progress didn't keep those people out of the streets. They're not looking for just progress, they're looking for transformational change. So what I would say to Minnesotans, we got a unique opportunity. This is on us. The center of gravity for this is down on 38th in Chicago. The center of gravity lies in this state. This is going to be upon us. Again, what that legacy looks like. But we're going to come back into special session next week. And for those of you who have fought this issue, pick your issue. Pick your issue that led to this. We have major post-secondary educational institutions that graduated 0 teachers of color. Tens of thousands of students. We can't find a teacher that looks like the kids they're teaching. You don't need another one that looks like me. You need somebody who's in there. All the research shows that. If we're going to close the achievement gap in Minnesota, we're not going to blame it on the kids. We're going to blame it on us not putting emphasis on putting teachers in front of them. We still have issues we dealt with. We have home titles that have covenants. Now, people say it wouldn't be held up in law, but it's on paper. You can't sell to a colored family. We have social determinants of health. You are born in this state, 2 babies sitting next to each other in the hospital. We can predict which one's going to live longer by the color of their skin. not by genetics, not by the background. And we have financial institutions that still make it difficult for African American families to have home ownership, the number one thing for middle class people that develops wealth. And when would say this to you out there, this is not an issue. I always used to hear people say about this, we got an achievement gap in communities of color, in black communities in our schools. No, we don't. We have an opportunity gap and an achievement gap in the entire system. If somebody's left behind, it is going to have repercussions. And we saw last week what the repercussions were. So this fierce sense of now and the fierce sense of urgency, for some of you out there who have fought this, for those that are out in the streets, again, like I said, pick your issue. If the issue is there's not enough teachers of color, we got an opportunity next week to author a piece of legislation, pass it, and I'll sign it. It'll be done by next Friday. You worried about bail reform? These are what the communities are telling us. This is what the people of color and indigenous caucus is telling us. We need bail reform and fines. We pull people over, we fine them, they can't pay the fine, we take their car, they lose their job, they can't pay for rent, and they're homeless. What was the purpose of the fine? What was the purpose of where we were going? It's taken us so long, we finally have treatment courts that recognize that but by the grace of God goes each one of us. So give people the opportunity. Quit criminalizing some of the things that we know there's services that could help and add back to the community. So my call to action on this is on us. And I don't think things just happen by chance. I'm not sure there's anywhere else in the country that their legislators coming back next week. So you're going to get to see an opportunity next week how serious people are about getting this done. Because I will guarantee you there will be bills put on the floor and put to a vote. Yes or no, put your money where your mouth is and send it forward. That's the change that people are asking for. That's the change that can happen in what we do. We already see the change happening out there of people cleaning up for one another, people building new coalitions, people talking about food deserts that don't need to be corporate stores coming in, but need cooperatives amongst the community so that it's shared back in and that shared wealth goes back into the community. Those are the fights that are going to be coming. So I would just ask all of you, tomorrow the world will turn its focus and the space will be created for the Floyd family. But it's also going to be very clear, if the belief is that this will finally just kind of calm down and everything will go back, I certainly don't believe it. If you're out there listening to people, I don't believe it. And I certainly don't think the young people that are our futures believe it. So Minnesotans, I'm going to ask us once again to honor the curfew, 10 to 4. You have done perfectly. You have done everything that was asked of you. You've done it with an understanding that created the space for the dialogues. It created the space to bring the human rights and the civil rights issue forward on the police department. It created the space to let Attorney General Ellison bring charges forward today. It created the space for communities to start to heal and build coalitions. It created the space for legislators to put together a package that needs to be addressed. That's a positive thing. And then it lets us think about and get back to the things we need to do. I would mention again, we'll have a pretty aggressive plan of dealing with COVID-19 testing. We'll make sure, and again, I want to hear everybody not putting up barriers. You're not going to have to tell somebody why you're getting a test is because you were at a protest. That's not what we need to do. We need to make sure that people come down. If you thought you were there, you thought you were exposed, we'll be testing all of our National Guard and all of our folks as they issue out. We've still got this fight on. We're still in the midst of this, and we still have some opportunities to bend the curve. I think in the, hopefully here in the very near future, I think we're seeing some good numbers. We need to talk about phase 3 of the reopening plan, getting back restaurants, getting back potentially some of these fitness centers, other types of activities that we're seeing. That's going to be imperative, as we knew all along. We're staying relatively stable, and I think it's because, I'll have to say, even in situations of large mass gatherings here this week, the vast majority of people were doing the best they could. They had their masks on. We're trying to hand wash, do those types of things. So we'll update a little bit here on where the current situation is and certainly take some questions. But I really, again, cannot stress enough that if it's not now, I'm not sure that will ever happen. So I would encourage Minnesotans, let's show them the best that we have. We've done this before. Let's make that move. Let's be the example of what happens, and let's let other folks start to see these things that we can do together will make a difference. With that, Commissioner Harrington.